Michigan versus Alabama. And a lot of people are talking about the Michigan Wolverines and their ability to beat the Crimson Tide and what it means. And I've told you all along that I do not believe in the quarterback at Michigan. I do not believe that Free Harbaugh is a great big game quarterback. I'll never say his name again. I think the guy's a complete fraud. But JJ McCarthy is a guy that I've leaned on hard this year. I just don't think he's a big-time quarterback in college football. And finally, some validation of that as Big Ten coaches have been talking to The Athletic. And here is what they are saying, that JJ McCarthy, Free Harbaugh, if you will, is a product of the sign-stealing operation, and that his numbers have declined precipitously since the sign-stealing operation came to light and since Free Harbaugh was, a product of that system, that he benefited greatly. One coach says, it does make me wonder. Going into our game, I thought he was among the best in the country. Afterward, I didn't think the same. Once all that stuff happened, he just didn't look the same. I don't know if he's hurt. I thought he was a Heisman candidate. Heisman quarterbacks don't only throw 8 passes in a game. I think before he was ready for it, he was confident. And that is my point. When Sign Stealer guy got exposed in Ann Arbor, Free Harbaugh went down the tubes. And I don't think it is too strong to say this is the best illustration of how sign stealing benefited the Michigan Wolverines. And I look at Free Harbaugh again, Jake. I don't think he's a big game quarterback. And I do think he is the reason when you look at a statement like this and you look at coaches who have played against Michigan, I do believe in my heart of hearts that Free Harbaugh is a reason they can't beat Alabama.
Absolutely. I think that the thing that no one talks about when you steal signs and you cheat your way to performance, the thing that nobody wants to talk about is the fact that you're not actually beating teams in a genuine way. So you didn't beat any of these teams because you just executed better, right? Like, hey, we just ran better plays. We executed to a higher level. I studied the film. I knew where I could put the ball and where I couldn't. That's not why you beat these teams. You beat them because you knew where the defender was going to be in the moment. You were being told, hey, he's going to be on the 20-yard at the hash, so don't throw it there. Throw it somewhere else. That's the difference. And I think when we look at true Heisman Trophy caliber quarterbacks, they don't need that help. And I think that's the difference, is that guys like Michael Penix Jr. and, Bo Nix and, Daniels at LSU and Jalen Milroe for that matter, those dudes don't need help. Those dudes don't need to be told where the defense is going, because they know too, the difference is they studied the film. They put the time in. They understand what the scheme is against them. And I think that's the hard part for Michigan. If you come out and you get, let's say you get boat race. Let's say it's, 35-10
right,
or something, 35-14. That's going to be a really bad look. That's going to be a situation where I'm left sitting here when we get back after the break saying, hey, dude, like, you guys got dominated. You look like you stole signs, and then we're not able to prepare at a high enough level to compete with an SEC caliber team. And that's what will really bother me. Now, if you make it competitive and you lose a close game, then I think, you can say, hey, we told you so. We're that good. We just weren't better than Nick Saban on that given day, but we played a hell of a game. So, yeah, I do think there's a lot on the line for Michigan. I do think JJ McCarthy is trying to save face in this game. I do think that he's got to make sure he upholds his reputation as a great quarterback, because if you come out and you throw whatever that stat was you just had, 10 attempts or whatever it was, like
it's 7 of 8. And obviously it was Penn State, happy ending Valley, where he was 7 of 8 for 60 yards. I mean, that's to me, that's not being a national championship caliber quarterback. It just is not. And you look at his numbers in the second half of the season. I mean, obviously the Purdue game was his highlight in the second half of the season. November 4th, 24-37, 335, no scores. But 4 rushes, minus 31 yards, not a dual threat quarterback, in my opinion. The very next week, you turn around and go 7 of 8 against Penn State, 12 of 23 against Maryland, 16 of 20 and a touchdown against, and I think Ohio State was his best game. 16 of 20, 148 and a touchdown, ran 4 times for 17 yards. You win 30 to 24. Obviously, 22 of 30 for 147 yards is not ideal in the Big Ten championship game. When you go 22 of 30 and it's 147 yards on 30 attempts. 30 attempts, 147 yards.
And look, I'm here for, hey, we're Michigan. We're big up front. Obviously, Corum in the backfield. Like, we can run the football. Like, I'm here for that. But here's the side effect of that you can't get away from on the stat sheet. If you're a prolific running team, your quarterback should have less attempts and more yards per attempt.
Completely
Things should
agree.
be opened up. The linebackers should be much closer to the line of scrimmage. You should be able to run option or play action to get your receivers open 15 to 20 yards down the field in front of the safeties and behind the linebackers. So the idea that this guy in the Big Ten championship game against a mediocre team is out here, taking 30 attempts and having 170 yards, like that tells me you're not. There's no prolific passer here. Like, I'm not hinging this opinion on the number of attempts, but more so what you're doing with those attempts. I mean, we have games where guys, are only taking 21, 23 passes, much like he is, but they're throwing for like 250, 270 because their team is running the football. So that's why I say, I'm telling you, there's a lot at risk in this Alabama game. It's much more than the college football playoff. It is very much, and I think it's for Alabama too. Like, if you think that Nick Saban isn't out here telling his team, hey, it's our job to shut these guys up. It's our job to prove a point against Michigan. It's our job to show the world why we are the best team in the country in this game. If you think he's not saying that, you're out of your mind.
Well, and the fact that they're plus 2.5.
Which
to
is
Michigan is wild to me. Listen, I think Michigan's a very good football team. We can sit here all day long and talk about, stealing signs, and that's a really good defense at Michigan. They operate at very high level. They're very talented defensively. I am not a believer in Blake Corum. I am not a believer in Free Harbaugh.
But I'm not a believer that Michigan's defense is better than Georgia's defense. Frankly,
well,
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that, hey, again, Michigan dominated the Big Ten and they deserve a lot of credit for that, sign stealing or not, right? You dominated the Big Ten. You had a great year. Okay, awesome, man. Now we're playing real football. We're not playing Big Ten football anymore. We're playing national championship caliber football. And at some point, we have to sit here and be like, hey, yeah, you do have a good defense, but I'm not sure how you stack up against the SEC.
Well, I also think you look at the quarterbacks in this game, and I think Jalen Milroe has had big performance after big performance. And obviously his path to those big performances was very different than Free Harbaugh's. I mean, Free Harbaugh had a run through the season, and I think Jalen had to get that job, lose that job, and re-earn the respect of his teammates and coaches, which he did.
Yeah, he battled.
But that doesn't dismiss the fact that, he came back and I think threw one of the greatest passes in Alabama football history in the Iron Bowl this year. And I think had multiple big performances. I remind you, he also ran for 107 yards in the Auburn game, 259 and 16 and 24, 259 and 2 touchdowns in the Auburn game. And I think you look at what he did in a lot of these big games, they counted on Jalen Milroe and he came through. And I think it is a very big difference when you're playing in the SEC against Georgia, Auburn, LSU, where he's 15 and 23 for 219 yards. And he also runs 20 times for 155 yards and 4 scores. Like, Jalen Milroe put up big performances in big games. You can't say the same thing for Free Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a huge difference in this game. You've got to find a way. And again, this is just my opinion. If you're Michigan, you've got to find a way to have Free Harbaugh have a 300-yard passing game against arguably the best defense he's seen in Alabama. And it just doesn't feel likely to me. It doesn't feel like, when I compare these two, that I would agree with you. I think Michigan's defense is good. It's not on par with Alabama's defense. Now, does that mean that Jalen Milroe is going to have 1,000,000 yards? It doesn't. It doesn't mean that in any way, shape, or form. This Michigan defense is very, very good. My question is, who can score points? And I don't see Free Harbaugh and Little Balake in the backfield doing the job that needs to be done against a very good Alabama defense.
And I don't trust, honestly, I don't trust that Harbaugh and company can come up with a scheme that both is good enough to beat Alabama just on a surface level, but also puts your guys in the best position to perform. Because to beat Alabama, what do you have to do? Well, you got to be able to throw it all over the field around that defense, because they're not going to let you run the football. That's just, you can just put that down. They're not going to sit here and let you run the football in this game. It's going to be on JJ to hit his guys down the field. Because that's what I saw against Georgia, right? And that's what really concerns me. I'm frankly past the whole, hey, Michigan sucks, they're a dirtbag program. Great, I've accepted all that. That's just who you are, right? You're a dog with fleas. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But what you're not, and what I don't know about you is, okay, have you this one time, even one time this year, has Michigan ever been the second team on the field? Have you ever been the lesser team?
Yeah.
Because I don't think you have. You were not the lesser team against Ohio State, right? Obviously, you weren't the lesser team against Penn State. You certainly weren't the lesser team against Iowa, right? So you haven't been on a field in a game situation as the lesser team. Hey, dude, we're 3rd and 8. We've gone 3 and out, 3 possessions in a row, and we're down 10. What do we do?
I just don't know. I don't know what it will take for Michigan to win this game offensively. Is this a 35-point win? Is this a 40-point win? Is this a 21-point win? With the qualities of these two defenses, I have trouble believing both these teams are going to score 30 points. And I look at big game experience. Free Harbaugh's been to the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Now they lost. Probably, arguably, his best performance of his career was last year against TCU, and they lost 51-45, if memory serves.
And what everyone universally agrees was that first game where you didn't have the benefit of sign stealing.
I think that's a very interesting point. I don't know. I think JJ is capable. I just don't know that this Michigan team has the horses to get the job done offensively. That's my single biggest question. I am never going to question this Michigan defense. I think they're very good. And I'll just continue to say I think they're very good. My struggle has been and will always be, have they seen the caliber of defense that they will see in the playoff? And my answer is I don't believe they have. I think they are going to see the best teams by far that they have seen. It's what I ask about Texas and Washington. Because I think Washington has seen very good defenses. I don't know that they've seen the athletes that Texas has.
I would agree with that.
And I think you look at Oregon, maybe Oregon was a bit fraudulent this year. You don't beat Oregon twice in a season and be mid. That Washington team is really, really good.
Yeah, it feels like the difference between Oregon and Texas is twofold. Obviously Texas has better athletes than Oregon. I think we all agree with that, like you just said. But I think the other thing that Texas is doing is they're just executing at an extremely high level. Again, I know it was, with all due respect, I'm not trying to piss off, Stillwater here, but I know it was Oklahoma State, right? Like, Oklahoma State is not one of the best teams in the country. They're a good team. They're in the Big 12 championship game. Give them respect. But Texas is clearly a cut above them without question. And so when I look at Texas and Oregon, in terms of what Washington's seen, yeah, I think Texas is better than Oregon. I think Quinn Ewers in the heat of the moment is just as good as Bo Nix. I think they make great decisions. They both can run it. Like, okay, great. They're let's just call that even. But where they're not even is execution, play calling.
Yeah.
Hey, we need to get 3 yards here and we're on our own, 25. What are we calling? And they just find a way to get that job done. And Oregon was not able to do that against Washington's defense. So Washington's defense, I'm curious. You did that to Oregon. Does that mean that you're going to hold Texas down a little bit? I don't know. That's what remains to be seen. But I can tell you this. I have way more confidence that Texas and Washington is going to be a close game. And I have way more confidence that Alabama and Michigan is not. And I think Alabama is going to lay it on them. And I think we're going to be talking about how, hey, Jim Harbaugh got run out of Ann Arbor and JJ McCarthy should have never been in the Heisman conversation. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see exactly how this whole thing plays out. And, let's get into the comment section here on the Monty Show, presented by our good friends at BuckedUp.com, the official energy drink of the Monty program.
Hey, Monty.
Every day we hit a buckshot on the show. Today we're giving every day on the show, we hit Jake in the nuts with a Bucky. And Buckshot's just the best product I use every day. That's the best way that I can put it. I look at what Bucked Up does with Buckshot, and I tell you every single day, it's elite ingredients to make an elite product that does exactly what they tell you it does. And that is, it gives you a mental lift. It's not some huge spike and then a huge crash. That doesn't exist at Bucked Up, because it's 200 milligrams of naturally sourced caffeine from green tea leaf extract. And what that means is you don't feel some huge spike, but it's 6:20 in the morning in Los Angeles and you're dragging ass. And maybe you're tired, you're sitting in traffic and the 405's locked up. And you're like, damn, dude, I'm struggling. Hit a Buckshot. You're in about 20 minutes, you're going to feel a nice mental lift. If you're in New York City right now, it's 9:20 in the morning and you're trying to get through that first meeting and they gave you donuts first thing when you walked in the door. Maybe you're a little hungover from last night. Hit a Buckshot, because one of the best things that Buckshot does, it opens up the vessels, the blood flow in your brain, because it's got B12 in it. So you feel a lot more clarity when you're hungover, when you have a headache, when you are having a carb crash. So hit it right now. Join me. Blue Raz, best flavor in the business, in my opinion. Cheers to you.
I think I've hit it every time.
Well, there's no doubt I've hit it every time. There's no doubt about that. Now, friends, if you have Buckshot in your hand right now, snap a picture, send it to Jake. You could win a $100 Amazon gift card, because today it's Giving Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And we want you to have the best Christmas possible. We believe in taking care of the people who take care of us. All of our friends at Bucked Up take care of us. We want to take care of you. Show us you're using Buckshot. Show us you're using a Bucked Up product. Show us that you went to BuckedUp.com. And let's say, I don't know, you click the link in the description below and you got 6 free Buckshots.
Boom.
Look at that right there. That's in the description below. They'll send 6 free right to your front door. Show us a screenshot of that order. You'll be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card on Giving Tuesday. And we already have an entry.
So I need to send you the second half of our guy Maury's entry. So let's play the video.
The second half.
Yeah.
Got my ready to go to the parks today. I already made $53 there, and it's Friday. I got my Bucked Up. I'm ready for a happening day. You guys are gonna come along and join us. We're gonna have an amazing day. Gonna take this guy and its buddies all over the world. See you soon. At Disney Animal Kingdom. Way to go. Come along for the journey of the buck.
And this
gonna be tough to beat,
dude.
I gotta tell you the editing power that Maury Alvarez, our great Floridian, put into this.
Yeah. First of all, the Christmas music underneath. Well done. Second of all, the fades and the sliding
No.
screens.
First of all, Tri-Day Trading and Buckshot and Bucked Up rather.
And I sent you a picture. He has checked the box for the Advocates as well.
He has checked the box for the Advocates as well.
He has donated to the Advocates this morning. Maury,
damn, Maury,
you are the man, dude.
Damn,
you
Maury,
are the man.
It is gonna be tough. You guys, you're gonna have to really go out of your way to win this one. Maury with the editing and the $25 donation to the Advocates. Boy, I think Maury Alvarez has the lead already.
By the way, can I just point this out? Any questions that Tri-Day Trading works? Any questions?
No.
My guy Maury's been in it for a week, and in the video said, "Hey man, I just made $300. I'm heading out for the day to go to Disney World with my family." Come on,
I
dude.
told you at Tri-Day
dude.
Trading, they put you into their trading simulator right away. So you're making mistakes and you're making money right away. You're learning I'm telling you guys.
I'm for real.
I'm telling you. Maury's living proof of that. I think, Mike Smith, Maury with the trifecta, Harry
dude.
Austin, crown him. It's over.
It's over, dog.
Giggity damn. Maury doesn't mess around.
Yeah, dude.
Mike Smith, his shake game's on point.
So don't even think about messing with me.
Tanner Plummer, I could use a Bucked Up after the BS I had to go through last night.
What BS was that, dude?
Well, he's talking about his Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, Jalen's no longer the top quarterback in the league, and he's definitely behind some other guys now.
Well, and we're going to talk about that coming up here in about
now.
30 minutes. Matt Patricia is not the problem, and the Philadelphia Eagle fans that are blaming Matt Patricia, defense was not the issue last night. If you can't score enough points to beat Seattle, and I know it's in Seattle, dude, that's not the problem.
Yeah.
That is not, trust me when I say that is not the problem. Let's see. DK coming in. Donate to the Advocates. Who doesn't think that the Sugar Bowl is going to be 75% Longhorn fans? Oh my God.
Oh, it's going to be. There's no question it's a road game for Washington.
Yeah, I don't think there is any doubt that it is a road game.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly the right way to put it, that it's a road game, dude. And I think it's going to be a very tough road to hoe. Where are you guys at on Michigan? Don't forget it's Giving Tuesday. So again, I think Maury's probably running away with Bucked Up.
Now we have, I agree. And I was going to say, I think Maury's got this locked up. Now, again, we haven't heard from Gary yet this morning, who is a prolific video creator. So maybe we get something crazy. I don't know. But,
is that what this has come down to now?
Oh, there's no question with Bucked Up. It's a video contest. There's no doubt. If you're not making video on the Bucked Up thing, you're probably not winning.
I would probably
unless you've got like a Bucked Up in London or like some wild place where you can take a picture that nobody else could recreate.
Yeah, if you're standing on top of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you would need something way out
or the
there.
Stifle Tower.
The Stifle Tower, yeah.
You know.
Right.
I think we're in a position now where Maury, I agree with Mike Smith. I agree with Harry Austin.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to crown you yet. We got about an hour to go now, but I would say
big boy lead, dude.
That's a big boy lead. Yeah, old Greg. Definitely give it to Maury, or he deserves his own for having almost all the sponsors. I mean, maybe that's Maury. We're going to give you $100 Amazon gift card. I think you've earned it. OG Gary says bet.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yep.
Bet.
Yep.
I love it. I don't think there's any doubt. There's no doubt. Brandon Butler. Washington has a definite chance. The Longhorns' one weakness is at corner, and wide receiver is a strength for the Huskies. I would agree with that.
Well, and you've got the quarterback to beat speed in the secondary. That's the thing for Washington. Like Michael Penix can outthrow the coverage, and that's what I think the Longhorns haven't quite seen yet in the Big 12. Like
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Think about the Oklahoma game, right? Red River rivalry. Dylan Gabriel can outthrow the coverage.
Can somebody explain to me why on earth we have two transfer quarterbacks going to Oregon?
Dude, it's a
Dante
great
Moore
question.
and Dylan Gabriel. Is Dante Moore going to sit a year? Because you can't tell me Dylan Gabriel's not the starter there. I mean, am I completely wrong about
Dan
that?
Lanning say, hey, you guys are going to have to compete? I doubt that. Because Dante Moore's been behind Dylan Gabriel, right? Like Dylan Gabriel transferred there before Dante. So that tells me Dylan Gabriel and Dan Lanning have been having conversations before Dante Moore was even in the conversation.
And you can't tell me that Dante Moore was a surprise to Dylan Gabriel. I have to believe that Dylan Gabriel knew Dante Moore was coming.
Hey, maybe Dante Moore just loves the Oregon brand. I mean, that's the beauty of the transfer portal. Guys transfer for different reasons. So maybe Dante Moore is saying, hey, let me sit behind a guy that was in the Heisman conversation in the first part of the year. Let me learn from him. Let me learn this system of Dan Lanning, and then I'll go out for 2 more years after this and dominate. And hey, maybe that's the path.
Yep, I agree. All right, your thoughts on Michigan are welcome. Let's go back to the top because I know there were a lot of people.
Oh, is that the Wasikowski here today?
Yeah, Eric Wasikowski, Plymouth Canton.
What's up?
Can't wait to see another meltdown like last night when you eat your words again. Go Blue, go Big Ten. How did I eat my words last night?
How did he eat his words? Can you explain that, dude?
Well, I took Jalen Hurts. I got my ass kicked on Prize Picks last night. Holy cow.
So last night, really quick sidebar. Last night, I take Jalen Hurts for less than 32.5 passing attempts. He had 31. Okay, great. You think Braun came through on an easy 27-point number?
But why didn't he come through?
No,
because
didn't.
Anthony Davis was absolutely dominant last night. Dominant. Christopher Shannon, what's up? JJ Free Harbaugh will not be enough to beat Alabama. Michigan doesn't have good wide receivers, not an explosive offense. And that's my point. They need big plays, big plays from guys like Blake, and I keep saying his name correctly, my bad. Balake Corum.
Balake.
I think that's a tough one. Joseph Harper says, good morning. Tanner says, Bama's winning. Next topic.
Well,
I don't think it's going to be that easy. Matt Ritson, morning, Jake and Monty. Matt, good morning to
Matt?
you. Lopes fan Gabe, Lopes up. Like button casuals. Christopher Shannon says, yeah, that's the Penn State coaching staff saying that. I think it is. I would agree with that. Joseph Harper says, must have been the Penn State coach because that's the game he threw 8 times. Yep. I would agree with that. Ferris Khan says, Free Harbaugh has running highlight reel just as long as Milroe. His passing highlight reel is better. It is not better.
No.
And we can sit here and I'm happy to argue it. I am happy to argue it. I look at Free Harbaugh and I say to myself, look at his strength of schedule. And then compare that to Jalen Milroe.
And I just think your point about the path, again, I can't emphasize this enough. Jalen Milroe has been to hell and back, dude. Jalen Milroe lost his job, then got his job back. Now has taken that thing by the horns. Then led his team to an SEC championship. That's what I'm saying. Like, let's take a step back. If I put it to you this way, hey, the Big Ten champion is playing the SEC champion, dude. Who you got to win that game? Yeah, you're taking the SEC.
I think so. I absolutely think so.
I just think it's, look, if Michigan and Free Harbaugh come out and dominate Alabama, I will eat crow when we come back. I'll say, hey, all due respect, you guys had a hell of a game. You're way better than I thought you were. But I'm not giving you credit until that happens because I think you played an easy schedule in the Big Ten.
Ferris Khan, again, to your point, which is why I interrupt you. Alabama gave up 10 points to an 8-5 SCS team that has a mascot that is a shoe. Michigan averaged fewer points on defense. Strength of schedule is a major. I look at the SEC, and I guess it could be an argument. I think the defense in the SEC is the best defensive conference in the country. I think you look at Georgia and Alabama; they are miles ahead of Michigan, in my opinion. I look at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a very good defense. I look at the completion percentage. Alabama's only given up 59%. I look at you're only getting 124 yards a game on Alabama on the ground. That's 5th in the SEC. You look at the ability. I just don't see how. And again, I'm happy to be wrong about this if I am wrong. But when I look at the touchdowns per game, Georgia and Alabama are giving up 1 passing touchdown a game. I said 1 a game
against the SEC.
In college football, you should wake up and have 21 points on the board. And you're like, well, because they're not good against the run. Oh, contraire, mon frere. They're also giving up 1 rushing touchdown a game. Hey, that's a grand total of 2 touchdowns a game that Georgia and Alabama give up. Like, what are we even talking about?
The Dallas is not over.
Against really good competition. And that's the thing that you can't get away from. You look at Bama and you look at their game log, dude. Their competition is twice as good at least to what Michigan faced.
Yes.
Twice, because I still maintain that the Fighting Paternos are very mid.
Yes.
They don't have a quarterback. They don't have a prolific offense. I think Ohio State, with Lloyd Carr as your head coach, and now you're changing quarterbacks, this was not the best version of the Ohio State that we've ever seen. I think this was an exceptionally soft schedule in the Big Ten.
So I'm saying Michigan fan, dude. I look, man. I'm not going to sit here and spend a half hour arguing with you about why the SEC schedule is better than the Big Ten schedule. We're not the only ones who say that. It's a well accepted fact. Like it just is what it is. And if you're so damn good, then prove it. Well,
we're going to be right or wrong. I think I was looking at this game last night, and I do believe that it is a 31-10 kind of game for Alabama, because I think Alabama's offense, their wide receivers truly emerged. I think Jalen Milroe turned into a Heisman candidate late in the season. I think he has matured against really good defenses, and I just don't see explosiveness in the offense at Michigan. And for me, that's the thing that I struggle with. I respect the defense at Michigan. I cannot see the points being scored against Alabama's defense.
Dude, look at what Alabama's defense did against Georgia's rushing game. Dude, you held Kendall Milton to 3.2 yards per carry? What? Like Brock Bowers had 53 yards the entire game? I'm sorry. I don't know. I am rarely the guy that goes way out and says this is definitely going to happen, but I agree. It should be 30 points for Alabama, and Michigan's going to be chasing them the whole time. The only way that Alabama gets in trouble in this game is if you turn the football over. If you give Michigan, let's call it 3 extra possessions that they shouldn't have had, that's when you get in trouble.
Yeah.
That's how you lose this game. But if Alabama does what they do, and I would suspect that they'll come out and road grade you early, they'll try to run it right down your throat and see what you do about it. If you allow them to do that, this game is done. It just is.
The better offenses in the country, not the elites, the better offenses in the country put up 400 yards. I look at Michigan's offense against, and I'm here for the argument if you think that Michigan's some kind of great, offense against really elite defenses. I don't know how you make that argument. Michigan's offense is not first or second in the Big Ten. It's not third or fourth in the Big Ten. It's fifth in the Big Ten at 380 yards per game. And you start looking at things like passing yards a game. Here's where it gets really scary. You're behind Illinois. You're averaging 218 yards. And I'd also point out to you that that's fourth in the Big Ten. Here's the other problem. You look at the SEC, you would be near the bottom, which is remarkable, because let's start talking about yards per game passing in the SEC. And you start asking yourself, well, where is Alabama? Alabama's at 228 yards, and that is not near the top, right? That is ninth in the SEC. Ninth. So you would be 11th in the SEC in passing yards a game.
Nice. Dude.
Let that sink in. That's how good the defense is. That's how good the offense is. And if you want to start looking at yards a game, offensively, LSU leads the SEC at 548 yards a game.
Kiss my butt.
Georgia second at 482, Ole Miss 455, Tennessee 453, Missouri 442, Alabama at 401 yards a game in total offense, yards per game, my friends.
Y'all want to play.
Is not even in the top half of the SEC. and you're behind them.
And then you want to tell me that your savior, JJ McCarthy, is going to come out here in this game and average, 25 attempts for the game, and you think that's going to be good enough?
But
it's not going to be.
But here's the other problem. Those Alabama offensive numbers, you're like, see, they're terrible. Okay, well, the problem is they're third in points a game in the SEC. 46 for LSU, 38 for Georgia, 35 points a game for Bama. And I'd remind you, they beat Georgia and they beat LSU because their defense is that good.
So my point is, dude, Nick Saban's a better man than you are. He builds his schemes to beat specific defenses. He's not like these other guys. He's not running a more generalized scheme and changing a little thing here or there based on the defense he's playing. He's running a specific strategy, a specific, game plan to beat your defense, which is why you see a little bit lower attempts for Jalen Milroe, but they're still scoring 35 a game because they can run the damn football on anybody, including you.
Cherry picking stats, you can do that on both teams. I'm not cherry picking stats. I'm painting a picture of what this matchup's going to be. I'm not cherry picking completion percentages, or we're looking at points a game because it paints a relevant picture. Michigan fans have told us for a week now that Alabama's defense and their offense, and Alabama is third in the SEC in scoring, and the two teams in front of them, they beat them both and outscored them both in shootouts, and their defense was better than the best offenses. That tells you that Alabama's defense is really, really good, and they got exponentially better as the season went on. Michigan did not get better. Free Harbaugh got exponentially worse as the season went on, especially after the sign stealing scandal broke. We can
I'm
go.
telling you, Michigan fan drinks the Kool-Aid, dude. You guys think that you are the best in the country, and I respect that. You wouldn't be a fan if you didn't, right? But at the same time, let's not be ignorant. Let's not be just so blind to it. Cool, you think you're going to win the game. I would expect you to think that. I'm not surprised by that take. That's fine. I'm not even mad with you about that take. But what I can't do is, oh, man, you guys are just cherry-picking stats, and you guys hate Michigan. And you know what it is, dude? I don't respect Michigan. I don't respect the schedule you've played. I don't respect the fact that, yeah, sure, you've won a soft-ass Big Ten, but you couldn't beat TCU last year? And you expect me to think you're going to beat Alabama this year?
And Ferris Khan, Michigan gave up about half of the points per game that Alabama did. But look at this is where strength of schedule comes in. What is strength of, I mean, you quite literally had you had two games.
Yeah.
You played Iowa, and you want to talk about giving up point. Iowa, I don't believe, and I could be wrong, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong about this. I don't believe Iowa ran an offensive play in the Big Ten championship game. I think they punted. First down, they punted on first down every possession. Go back and check the play-by-play in the game log, but I think that's what happened.
With all due respect.
Are you really telling me that who did Bama play late in the year, like Chattanooga? Could Iowa beat Chattanooga? I'm not quite certain that they could. Come on now. I remind you, Alabama ran up the stats again in 8-5. Guy, are you kidding me? Did you see the schedule Alabama played the last 6 weeks of the season?
See, this is what I mean.
Tennessee, LSU, at Kentucky, Chattanooga, at Auburn, and then the SEC championship game against the best team in the country, Georgia. And you're trying to – a Michigan guy is telling me that Alabama didn't play anybody?
You got real nerve, dude.
Are you serious? Are you serious? You want to talk about not playing anybody?
Because it's garbage.
What do you mean? Here's Michigan's schedule. East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green. Okay, so those three right there are non-competitive. And Rutgers, tell me the good team. You let me know. This is Michigan's schedule from 1 down to the end. You tell me the competitive team here. East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green. Rutgers, Nebraska, Minnesota. Indiana, Michigan State, Purdue. I'd remind you, Indiana 1-8, Michigan State 2-7, Rutgers 3-6. And you're telling me that Alabama didn't play anybody? Are you out of your mind? Do you realize Indiana won 3 games the entire year? Do you realize that Michigan State was 4-8? Rutgers was 6-6. Minnesota 5-7. And you're trying to make the Purdue was flipping 4-8. And you're trying to make the argument Alabama ran their stats up against shitty FCS teams? What did Michigan do all year? Are you kidding me? You're making the argument that Alabama didn't play anybody. Get out of here. Come on, Ferris. You're better than that. You've been here for a minute now. You're better than that. Please. That's wild to me. And you're going to run out Michigan 9.43 points per game? Come on, man. Please. Boston Mapes, 28-24 Michigan. Michigan's ranked number 1, so at least some non-fans think they're the best. But you at least admit it's personal, so respect. It's not personal to me. I'm not making it personal. I haven't one time talked about what a jagoff Jim Harbaugh is, even though he is.
Facts.
That they cheated all year, even though they did, and they
Facts.
admit it. And that he self-suspended himself 6 games, even though he did. No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about on the field. And I give a lot of respect to Michigan's defense. Their offense is, in my opinion, is the problem, not their defense. Stephen Keel, you call Penn State mid, but Tennessee, Auburn, and Kentucky, but you're right. Okay, let's talk about Penn State. I'm happy to talk about Penn State.
Man, dude.
You want to talk about Penn State? Penn State played West Virginia 38-15, good win, but West Virginia was terrible early in the season. Delaware, Illinois, Iowa, Northwestern, and UMass.
Go on.
Do you guys understand that UMass, as a football team, was 3-9? And their wins were New Mexico State, Army, and Merrimack.
Bro, how many losses in a row is that on their schedule?
Auburn, Miami of Ohio, Eastern Michigan, New Mexico, Arkansas State, Toledo, and Penn State, all in a row.
What is that, 8 in a row you lost?
All like 7 in a row, and then 2 in a row to Liberty and UConn. You were 3-9. They didn't. Do you understand that Penn State did not play a game of significance until Ohio State, and they lost. And I'd remind you that was at the shoe 20-12. Then they beat Indiana, who again 3-9. Then they beat Maryland 7-5, a bowl team. That's a good win. Then you lost to Michigan at home 24-15. Finished with a win over a 6-6 Rutgers team and a 4-8 Michigan State team. And I'm supposed to believe that Penn State is somehow a world beater?
Come on.
Are we really defending the Big Ten? Is that what we're doing this morning? The Big Ten was horrendous again.
You know.
And you're adding 4 teams that should change that. But this stop with this idea that somehow the Big Ten's even a serviceable conference. It's one of the worst football conferences in the country. Not close. And Penn State is not a good football team. And if you want to get into numbers, we can do that. Drew Aller is a terrible quarterback.
Agreed.
Not good. Not a P5, now P4. He is a G5 quarterback. He's worse than Kyle McCord was. So let's not sit here and pretend that the Big Ten's been a good conference. Please, let's not even do that. Bailey Dietrich says the Team Up North fans are drinking the Kool-Aid, apparently.
Facts, dude.
Fair's calm, but I thought we needed to throw out records when Alabama plays an in-state rival. It's a great rivalry game. Michigan beat Michigan State. So wait, and I just want to understand this, Ferris. We're supposed to have any faith in phone sex state. We're supposed to believe that somehow the whole situation with, the Mel Tucker, and we're supposed to believe that that's a solid football team.
See, and that last line tells me everything I need to know about you.
Alabama beat Auburn on a miracle play. You're really trying to compare Michigan State to Auburn in the history and the tradition that is the Iron Bowl. You're trying to make that argument. Come on. I know you're better than that.
You all better show up when we get back. You better show up and take your crow. Because I'm telling you, when you lose this game and the SEC shows you why it's the SEC, we will be having a different conversation.
If Michigan scores 21 points, they're probably going to win the game. I don't think they can score 21 points. I look at tell me Michigan's offense, how do you match up man for man against Alabama? I don't see how that happens. And I spent, because I have no life, I freely admit that. I spent last night looking at Michigan's wide receivers, and I think Roman Wilson very clearly is somebody that you can rely on. You don't fall into 662 yards and 11 touchdowns. But the fall off is precipitous after that. He is the guy. He is the guy.
So if he's not available to you because he's your guy, they'll take him away.
You have two other wide receivers, Colston Loveland, and then Morgan, I think it was, had 2 touchdowns. Nobody else has more than one. So you don't have depth throwing the football, right? You don't. And Alabama has linebackers that can run with your tight end. So again, I'm asking you, how do you offensively justify the fact that you're competing against Alabama's defense? Because Free Harbaugh, by any stretch of the imagination, wildly regressed in the second half of the season and did not have the season this year he had last year.
141 against Maryland, 148 against Ohio State, and 147 against Iowa. That ain't getting it done against Bama, dude. It's not.
I again just say, I'm asking you, Michigan fan, how do you justify that you're going to score? Because what do you think Alabama's offense puts up?
35. I think they put up 35.
Okay, so knock a touchdown off of that. 28 points. How do you score 28 points with this set of talent? Are you telling me that Balake is going to have some kind of massive game?
Like the one he had against Penn State, 145 yards?
He is. Blake Corum has turned into a big play guy once or twice a game. And you're going to have to find balance, and you're going to have to find a way to be ahead of the chains. Because if you're trailing, the one thing you cannot do ever in this game if Michigan's going to win is play from behind.
Right. If
you're playing from behind, forget it. It's over. Free Harbaugh is not a guy that can win from behind. He's not. And I think when I look at I just look at the roster and I look at the defense that they bring to the yard and this secondary and these linebackers, and it's going to be very interesting to see how healthy is Kool-Aid McKinstry. That's all I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
If he's healthy and he plays, and by all accounts he will, I don't see Michigan's ability to score 28 points in this game. I don't. So what am I wrong about? That's what I'm asking you.
Well, look, the problem here is that Michigan fan is not going to have an objective take. You're not willing to say that the SEC on its face is better than the Big Ten, which means you're definitely not willing to say that Michigan hasn't really played anybody outside of Ohio State, because Penn State is average. Penn State's a team you should beat every single year. And Ohio State didn't live up to it, and you beat them. And that's a quality win one way or the other. I'm not taking that one away from you.
And I'd remind you that Kool-Aid McKinstry was a full participant in practice this week after 2 weeks off.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is he's good to go. And I think Trey Amos is another guy that I think is going to be fine. Roydell Williams, I think you're in trouble here. Jace McClellan is a significant injury because he missed the SEC title game.
And you still won the ball game.
And it looks like he's going to be able to play in the Rose Bowl. Just looking at what Nick Saban said, he's getting better. I think it's probably still too early to tell. He's getting ready to do dry land running and some things. He'll progress through the rest of the week, and we'll see. When asked about Kool-Aid McKinstry and if he's ready to go, yeah, he is. He'll be fine.
I mean, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. We could probably do this all show.
We could.
But the reality is, so I love having great college football conversations, right? Where we're making great points and we're just discussing, we're going back and forth, and it's just a great conversation. But the problem is, I'm not sure right now with the kind of season Michigan's had and what you guys have been through that you're even capable of doing that, because it is honestly Michigan fan, and I don't blame you for it. I get it. You're doing the whole us against the world thing. You should be. You're never going to accept what's coming to you. And I will not believe in you until you prove what you can actually do against a quality opponent. And no, this game isn't at the big house, which is the other thing that nobody wants to talk about. You're a different team at home than you are on the road. This game's on the West Coast. It is a later game for you on your natural body clock.
I think it's 2:00.
2:00 Pacific at the Rose Bowl. Tell me again how any of this lines up for Michigan to go out and win this game.
I think it's going to be very difficult, but it's always difficult to beat Alabama. It's always difficult. I just am the question for Michigan. Can your offense score 28 points against Alabama's defense? And I just don't see that you have the firepower to do that. Free Harbaugh is not that quarterback, not against elite defenses. So less of us, more of you. Matt Ritson for $5 did next year Michigan, no more Fresno State, Texas, USC, Washington, Oregon, and Ohio State might see Harbaugh after this year to the NFL. I don't think there's any question Jim Harbaugh. And this is the other thing that I think plays into the Alabama game. I think they're playing for Harbaugh's legacy at Michigan. I think they are well aware of that. I think that Jim Harbaugh is that when they lose, he's done at Michigan, in my opinion. I think he will leave. There's good NFL jobs open. He is allegedly one of the top quarterback or one of the top coaching candidates for Los Angeles, the Chargers, who in Los Angeles but should be in San Diego, as well as the Las Vegas Raiders. I think he is a league candidate for those two jobs. And he knows that he is going to likely eat an entire year of suspension next year, or at least because he took 6 games this year.
Right.
3 of those were for the level 1 deception charge that he faced with the Committee on Infractions.
Uh-huh.
So I think there's a real good chance that he sees at least 6 games worth of a suspension next year. And that doesn't even include sign stealer guy.
Uh-huh.
So I think there's a chance he misses the entire season next year. I don't know why he would do that. And the problem for Michigan is if he leaves, they're going to get smacked. They're going to get smacked either way. He's going to have a show cause order, I think, for multiple years if he leaves Michigan. And I think Michigan's going to suffer. They know that, and I think they're playing for that.
And I think on the other side for Alabama, I'm just telling you in sports, this is not unique to college football. Dude, anytime there's even allegations, and in this case, it's known what you did, you can't tell me that Alabama's not aware of it and not looking to prove a point.
Yeah.
Alabama wanted to prove a point in the SEC championship game, and they did just that. And now they're getting another opportunity to be the stopper to something that's been dominating college football. I'm telling you, Nick Saban, this is what the dude lives for. He doesn't live for the Ferrari money. That's not him. He wants to be on the sideline and beating you. That's his whole thing, man. So that's why I say, like, I don't know. You're never going to get me to say that I think Michigan's winning this game. Nothing says they're going to win the game. Rosters, stats, real life scenario stuff, location of the game, time of the game, weather for the game. Like, nothing says that they're in this game. So, yeah, they can play for his reputation. But the reality is that you're not the better football team, man.
Well, I also wonder if Alabama wins this game, does Nick Saban retire? Because that's a question that you brought up in our pre-show meeting. And thank you, Jim Bagley, for the $10. Enjoy your time off. Merry Christmas. Same to you, my friend. I wonder if Nick Saban wins the college football playoff, does he retire? because you're going to go out with one of his best defenses. There's no doubt about that. I think you look at guys like, I mean, whether you want to point to a guy like Kool-Aid McKinstry, Dallas Turner, there's just no doubt that Malachi Moore, or, I mean, you look at these guys and you look at all of the NFL talent that's on that roster. Chris Braswell, certainly. Caleb Downs. I think Jalen Key has turned into one of Nick Saban's better projects. I mentioned Trey Amos earlier. I mean, this defense is just stacked, and the secondary is so disciplined. And then you start looking at their wide receivers, and this is the thing that's really interesting. I think this is one of the weakest wide receiver classes we've ever seen at Alabama, because all their dudes are in the NFL at wide receiver.
Right.
The attrition's been amazing, and yet you still have guys like Jermaine Burton, who I think is going to be a mid-round pick. He's going to be a fourth-round pick. I look at people like Isaiah Bond. I look at Kobe Prentice. I look at Jalen Hale. And all these guys are so young. When you look at, a Jalen Hale who's a freshman. You look at Cole Adams, who's a freshman. Their best talent are freshmen and sophomores. So he's leaving a full cupboard behind. And I think the other guy that we probably have not talked about enough is Caden Proctor, who's a freshman, and he's playing left tackle.
Yeah.
And their offensive line has gotten remarkably better. It's wild to me that Nick Saban has built this kind of brand. And I do think if he wins a national championship, there's a real good chance he retires.
And he didn't come this far to come this far, dude.
No, he did not.
You did not suffer that much early in the year to lose to a Big Ten team that you damn well should beat. If I'm Nick Saban, I believe that our team should beat their team every single day.
Yeah.
I believe that. And whether that's true or not is your opinion. That's your opinion. My opinion is it is true. And my opinion is that Nick Saban has executed one of the best coach seasons he's ever had.
I agree.
You don't have, listen to some of these names. I just want to put this into perspective after you read those names. Listen to these names that he's worked with. Amari Cooper, Devontae Smith, Cam Sins, Calvin Ridley,
Wild.
Jerry Jeudy, Julio Jones, Jalen Waddle, right? Like grade A.
Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, bro. You don't have that. Yet you're still out here winning the SEC. And now you've taken what everybody left for dead in Jalen Milroe and turned it into a dude. So forgive me for being very wary of doubting Nick Saban and Alabama. If you can beat Georgia in an SEC championship game where everyone said it was first team all SRT that was going to roll, and you shut all that down, and then you can roll into this game. Come on, you don't tell me you're going to lose this game. And by the way, I just want to point this out one more time before we leave this topic.
Mm-hmm.
If Michigan was so confident they were winning this ball game, why was your first reaction in that ballroom sadness? Why were you like, oh no, dude?
But again, don't count this defense short, man. Like, just looking at the draft projections for their defense. I mean, Jalen Harrell's the guy that everybody talks about. I think we all understand that. But even guys like, I don't know, Michael Barrett, who's a graduate, a linebacker, that's a guy that's probably going to be an NFL free agent. He's going to be an undrafted NFL free agent. Junior Colson, Chris Jenkins, Rod Moore. Their defense is stacked. And just looking at the things that you get out of this defense regularly, their defense, Michigan's defense is elite, is a very talented defense. I just wonder if, is Roman Wilson capable of carrying the passing game on his own? I don't know the answer to that question. Is Free Harbaugh capable of winning the game on his own? I don't know the answer to that question.
I don't think it's fair to JJ McCarthy to say, go out and win the ball game on your own. If you're going to do that, you're not preparing to win this ball game. I'm telling you,
but
need
isn't
more
that the
than
reality of it, though?
No, it's not the reality. It should be the commitment from Michigan should be, we're running this thing for 150 yards. If we do that, we win the ball game. Because if you do that, you do win the ball game. But you're not going to. Because to your point, Balake is too much of lightning in the bottle. He is not a workhorse running for 4 yards a carry for 20 plays to drive it down the field. That's not who he is as a back.
I would agree with that. All right. You guys are amazing. Thank you for all the comments. It is Giving Tuesday on the Monty Show, as always, presented by The Advocates. TheAdvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. Giving Tuesday, it means more this time of year. It just means more.
Mm-hmm.
It means more this time of year. And as usual, all of our partners have charitable donations set up. You look at The Advocates working with the Road Home yet again to help the homeless community and those that are unsheltered in the harshest of conditions. And again, I tell you, it is 8 o'clock and it is 34 degrees in Salt Lake City. And if you're waking up in a shopping cart covered by tarps, how are you feeling this morning? If you're sleeping under an overpass, in a bush, in a park, on a bench, how are you feeling this morning? It's difficult. And then consider that maybe you don't have a skull cap. Maybe you don't have gloves, socks. Maybe you don't have shoes on.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a jacket. Do you have that extra sweatshirt that somebody decided to donate? Maybe you don't. And I'm telling you, you right now today, and I am talking to you directly, you have the opportunity to make a difference in somebody's life. And I am asking you, if it's in your heart and in your wallet, I'm asking you to consider making a donation on Venmo to the Advocates. Advocates donations on Venmo. They are working with the Road Home to provide hats, jackets, socks, gloves, boots, shoes, pants to those that are unsheltered, the homeless community, those that are most vulnerable this time of year. The Advocates are working. We are going to give away a $100 Amazon gift card to one person who makes a donation to the Advocates today. Make your donation on Venmo. Take a screenshot. Send it to Jake, SLC Jake on Twitter or Instagram. You'll be entered to win a $100 gift card.